channel. Today we'll be talking about the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is a diencephalic structure, right?
Yes, sir.
The hypothalamus is what? Is a diencephalic structure that is located inferior and anterior to the thalamus, right?
Yes, sir.
The hypothalamus is located where?
Inferior and
It
anterior.
is located inferior and anterior to what?
The thalamus.
To the thalamus, right? Now, this is our what? This is the pons,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
This is the midbrain, right?
Yes, sir.
This is the midbrain. If you don't call it midbrain, what will you call it? Mesencephalon. Right?
Yes.
Okay. This is cerebellum, right?
Yes.
And what do we have here?
For
This is our fourth what? Ventricle. This is our fourth ventricle. Now let's assume that you are here. Let's assume that you are here. And you decide to swim upward. Chisom, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Let's assume that you swim upward, right?
Yes, sir.
And then when you swim upward, you have to pass through an opening, right?
Yes.
And what do we call that opening?
Cerebral.
We call it what?
Cerebral.
The cerebral aqueduct of Sylvius. Cerebral aqueduct of Sylvius. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, when you pass through the cerebral aqueduct of Sylvius, you get to what we call the third ventricle, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You get to the third ventricle. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, let's say you are in the third ventricle, you are here. Beside you, there is a structure, and on this other side, there's also what? A structure. Now, that structure is called what? It is called the what? The thalamus. Is it not so?
Yes.
We call it the thalamus. And of course, you know, thalamus has what? Internal medullary what? Lamina. Right? Now, we have another one here, making it 2. Right? And then there's a connection between both, between the two thalamus, right? This connection is called what? The interthalamic what? Adhesion. Interthalamic adhesion. Right? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now, behind the thalamus, we have the habenula. Is it not so?
Yes, sir.
And then there is a connection between both of them. We call that connection what? The habenula what? Commissure. Right?
Yes, sir.
Then, still behind the thalamus, we have what we call the pineal what? Body. The pineal body. Or if you don't call it pineal body, what do you call it? We call it what? The pineal what? Gland. Pineal gland. Or pineal body, right?
Yes, sir.
Beneath the habenula commissure or beneath the pineal gland, in the midbrain, right? Just on top of the midbrain, we have what? The pretectal what? Nucleus. We have the pretectal what? Nucleus. And there's a connection between them. That connection is called what? It is called the posterior what? Commission. Posterior what?
Commission.
Commission. Right? Then below the thalamus, we have a structure, another diencephalic structure that is called what? The subthalamus. Right? Right? Now, by the side of the thalamus, we have two swellings. One at the medial parts, right? One at the medial portion and one at the lateral portion. This one at the medial portion is called what? It is called the medial geniculate body. This one that is lateral to this one is called what? The lateral geniculate what? Body. Are you there? Now, from this diagram now, I have succeeded in mentioning how many structures in the diencephalon? 4. Name them. The thalamus. The what? The epithalamus. What else? The subthalamus. And the what? Metathalamus. Are you there? Now, the epithalamus consists of what? The pineal body and the what? Habenula. Are you there? So now there is one structure that I've not drawn here. And what is that structure? The hypothalamus. Are you there? The hypothalamus. Now the hypothalamus is lying in front or anterior to the thalamus and the third ventricle. Right? It is lying what? Anterior to the third ventricle and the what? And the thalamus. So I can say that it is anterior and also inferior to the what?
Thalamus.
To the thalamus. Do you understand? Are you there? It is anterior and also inferior to the what? To the thalamus. Alright. Do you understand this? Okay. Now, I can also say that the hypothalamus is posterior to the optic chiasma. It lies posterior to the optic chiasma. And not just the optic chiasma, it also lies posterior to what? The lateral terminalis. It also lies what? Posterior to the lateral terminalis. Are you there? It also lies posterior to what? The lateral terminalis and what? And the anterior commission. Are you there? It lies posterior to the lateral terminalis and the anterior what? Commission. Are you there?
Not optic chiasma.
It lies posterior to the optic chiasma, right? And also the lateral terminalis and the what?
Anterior commission.
And the anterior what? Commission. Right? And it is superior to what? What is it superior to? The tuber cinerum. Are you there?
Yes.
The tuber cinerum and what we call interpedicular what? Fossa. Are you there?
Yes.
Alright. So let me draw another diagram now. Right? Alright, now from this diagram, right? Look look at this diagram. What is this? What is this? This is our thalamus, right?
Yes.
From this diagram, these are what? Thalamus, right? This is what? The pineal what? Body, which is the epithalamus, right? This is what? Subthalamus, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yes. This is what? This is cerebral aqueduct, right?
Yes, sir.
Or Sylvius. Is it not so? Uh-huh. This is fourth ventricle. Is it not so?
Yes.
Right. Now this one now. This is what? This is corpus callosum. Right? What do you call this structure? This is anterior commissure. Is it not so? This is called what? Lateral terminalis. Are you there?
Yes.
This is called what? Lateral what? Terminalis. Eh? Now, this one is called what?
Which one?
This one is called what? This one is called what? This is, okay, this one is pituitary what? Gland. Is it not so? Yeah, it's called what? Tuber what? Tuber cinerum. Is it not so? And then if you go down a little bit, you have what? The median what? Eminence, and then you have the infundibulum. Infundibulum. Right?
Yes.
If you don't call it infundibulum, you call it what? The pituitary what? Stalk. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, anteriorly, right? So now, this is what? Anterior what? Commissure. This is what? Lateral what? Terminalis, right? This is what? Optic what? Optic chiasma, right? This is what? Tuber what?
Yeah.
This is tuber what? Cinerum. Tuber cinerum. And then we have the median eminence, right?
Yes, sir.
Median eminence. We have the what? Pituitary what? Pituitary what? Stalk. We have the pituitary what? Stalk. And then we have the what? The pituitary gland. Right?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is called what? Subthalamus. This is what? This is our thalamus, and this is the what? Epithalamus. Right?
Yes.
Now, the hypothalamus is here. Look at where the hypothalamus is. The whole of this structure now is the what? Hypothalamus. So the whole of this structure is what? The hypothalamus. Right?
Yes, sir.
The whole of this structure is the hypothalamus. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
So, having established that, this is our hypothalamus, right?
Yes, sir.
If you observe, the hypothalamus is posterior, right,
Yes.
to the lateral terminalis, the what? Anterior commissure, and the what? Optic what? Chiasma, right?
Yes, sir.
It is superior to what? To the tuber what? Cinerum. right?
Yes, sir.
It is superior to the what? Tuber what? Cinerum. Do you get that?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
And then it lies anterior and inferior to what? To the thalamus. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
It lies anterior to the what? The thalamus, and also anterior and inferior to what? To the third ventricle. The third ventricle is in between the what? The thalamus. Are you there?
Yes.
So it lies what? Anterior to what? The third ventricle. Anterior and inferior to what? To the thalamus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
And then there is a sulcus, right?
Yes, sir.
There is a sulcus. There is a sulcus. Let me use this one. That separates the hypothalamus from the thalamus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
There's a sulcus that separates the hypothalamus from the what? Thalamus. What is this sulcus? It is called hypothalamic sulcus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
It is called what? Hypothalamic what? Sulcus, right? Now, it extends from where to where? It extends from where? It extends from the interventricular foramen. Are you there?
Yes.
From the interventricular what? Foramen. Interventricular foramen of Monroe. Right?
Yes, sir.
So what is what? Cerebral aqueduct what? Serious. This is what? Hypothalamic what? Sulcus. This is what? Interventricular what? Foramen of what? Monroe. Now, another thing is that if you look at the hypothalamus, right?
Yes, sir.
There is a swelling. There are two swellings, right?
Yes, sir.
One is bilateral and one is at the middle, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you there? Now, this one is one of them. And this one is called what?
Mammillary body.
It is called the mammillary what?
Body.
Mammillary body, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we have another one called the what? The tuber cinerum, right?
Yes, sir.
That gives rise to what? The median evidence, pituitary stalk or infundibulum, right?
Yes.
And then eventually gives rise to what? To the pituitary what gland. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now, of course, you know that the pituitary gland is divided into what? Two. One is what?
Posterior.
The anterior, and one is what? Posterior. Right?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
The anterior pituitary gland originates from where?
Basket.
From Radke's what? Pouch. Radke's pouch. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
It is an evagination from where? From the nasal what? Pharynx. Are you there?
Yes.
This other one, which is the posterior pituitary gland, where does it originate from? It originates from where? From the third ventricle. Are you there? Embryologically, it originates from what? From the third ventricle. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now, looking at this structure, you observe that there are several hypothalamic what? Nuclei that modulate the function of what? Hypothalamus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now, basically, the hypothalamus is divided into two zones. How many zones? Two zones, right? Are you there? We have the medial zone and the lateral what? Zone. And what actually divides the hypothalamus into two zones? Now, look at this now, right? Let me draw it here. Look at, see, we have the thalamus here, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that so?
Yeah.
And then we have the hypothalamus. Okay, let me draw it here, sorry. We have the thalamus here. Are you there? And then we have the hypothalamus here, bordering the thalamus. We have another one here. bordering the thalamus, right?
Yes, sir.
Now this one, this is the hypothalamus, right?
Yes,
This
sir.
area is divided into two zones, right?
Yes, sir.
We have a lateral zone, and then we have the what? Medial what? Zone. Are you there?
Yes.
Then the same thing is applicable here. We have what? Lateral what? Zone and medial what? Zone. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now I want to ask. Should I ask?
Yes, sir.
What actually divides the hypothalamus into the medial and lateral zone?
Medial forebrain bundle.
Is it the medial forebrain bundle? It is the phonics.
Oh.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
It is the what?
Funny.
Phonics. The phonics. Yes. It is the what?
Funny.
The phonics divides the hypothalamus into what? The medial and the lateral what? Zone. Right?
Yes, sir.
Are you there? So now what you are seeing here, right? What you are seeing here is the medial what? Zone. The lateral zone is behind it. Are you there? Are you there?
Yes.
The lateral zone is what? Behind it. Right? Now the medial zone, right, is divided into what? Four regions. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Four what?
Region.
4 regions. Or some persons will call it 4 zones. Right?
Yes.
So the first one, let me use. Which color will I use now? Black, I mean. Black will go. This is the first one. Right?
Yes, sir.
The second one, this is the first. The first, right?
Yes, sir.
The second, right?
Yes, sir.
The third, and the fourth. Right?
Yes, sir.
And the fourth. So the first zone, right?
Yes, sir.
In the medial aspect of the hypothalamus is called what?
Period.
Number one, it is called the preoptic what?
Sorry.
Zone or area or region, right?
Yes, sir.
Number two, we have the what?
Supra.
The supraoptic what?
Zone.
Number three is what?
Superior.
The tuberal zone. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Number four is what? The mammillary what?
Zone.
Mammillary zone. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now the word preoptic, right? Now this preoptic zone, right, has one nucleus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
The preoptic zone has one nucleus. We call that nucleus what? The preoptic what? Nucleus. We call it preoptic nucleus, right?
Yes, sir.
Then this other zone is called the supraoptic what? Zone, right?
Yes, sir.
We have
For
4 nuclei. The first one is called the suprachiasmatic what? Nucleus. Suprachiasmatic nucleus. The second one is called supraoptic what? Supraoptic nucleus. The third one is called what? Paraventricular what? Paraventricular nucleus. And the fourth one is called what? Anterior hypothalamic what? Nucleus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Are you there? Now the tuberal zone consists of 3 nuclei. Number one is what? The arcuate what? Nucleus. The arcuate nucleus. Right?
Yes, sir.
Then the arcuate nucleus. Then we have the what? The ventromedial nucleus. The ventromedial nucleus. And then we have the what? we have this medial nucleus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Right. Then the mammillary zone has two nuclei, right?
Yes, sir.
Which are what? The mammillary nucleus. The mammillary nucleus and the posterior hypothalamic what? Nucleus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Like I told you now, the lateral zone is behind the medial zone, right? So the lateral zone contains what? The lateral hypothalamic what? Nucleus. Are you there? So now let's go to the functions of the hypothalamus. That's the next thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk about the function of the hypothalamus, right? Hypothalamus usually has three major functions, which are what? The functions of the hypothalamus. Functions of hypothalamus. The number one function is what? It has a limbic function. Number two is that it has what? An endocrine function. And number three is that it has what? Autonomic what? Autonomic function. Are you there? It has a limbic function, it has what? Endocrine what function, and autonomic what function. Let's pick them one after the other, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's take them one after the other. Okay. So now, for the limbic function, the first one is the limbic function. The limbic function. Now, when we talk about limbic function, it has connection with the what? Limbic system, right?
Yes.
And of course, you know that the limbic system is involved in what? Memory,
Emotional.
right?
Yes.
And when we talk about the type of memory we are talking about is what? The emotional aspect of what? Episodic what? Episodic memory, right?
Yes, sir.
And then it is also involved in what? Motivational drive, right?
Yes, sir.
It is involved in what? Motivational what? Drive and emotion, right?
Yes, sir.
So it is involved in what? Memory, the emotional aspect of episodic memory, motivational drive, emotion, right?
Yes, sir.
Feeding behaviors, right?
Yes.
It is also involved in what? Sexual behaviors. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, in terms of the emotion could be what? Fear, it could be rage, it could be what? Anger, it could be sadness and all that. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's dive into this. Can you see this?
Yes.
Good. These are thalamus, right? This is what? Amygdala. This is what? The hippocampus. Right? That's the hippocampus. Now, this hippocampus, this is hypothalamus. This is where we have the hypothalamus. This area is where we have the hypothalamus, right?
Yes, sir.
This is where we have the hypothalamus. This is hippocampus. Hippocampus. This is amygdala, right? This is what? Mammillary what? Body. This is where we have the what? Mammillary what? Body. When we talk about limbic function, we are talking about what? Memory. What? Memory. Is it also?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes.
And the type of memory we're talking about is what? Episodic what?
Emotional.
Emotional aspect of episodic what? Memory. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
And now, if you agree with me, there's a connection, right? Between the hypothalamus. Right? There's a connection between the hypothalamus. Sorry. In fact, there's another structure I need to draw. Now, if you agree with me, there's a connection between the hippocampus, right?
Yes.
There's a connection between the hippocampus and what? And the what? And the mammillary body. Right? This connection is called what? Phonics. This structure that connects the hippocampus and the mammillary body is called what? The phonics. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
And then there's a connection between the mammillary body and the thalamus, right?
Yes.
Particularly what? The anterior what? Thalamic what? Nucleus, right?
Yes, sir.
And then there's a connection between the anterior thalamic nucleus and the cingulate what? Gyrus, right?
Yes.
And then there's a connection between the cingulate gyrus and what? The parahippocampal gyrus, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes.
And then there's a connection between the parahippocampal gyrus and what? And the hippocampus via what? The endocrine what? Cortex. Are you there? And the pathway that connects the hippocampus and the endocrine cortex is called what? The perforant what? The perforant pathway. Are you there? Now this circuit is called the perfect what? Circuit. Now if there is a lesion, right? If there is a lesion in this circuit, right? Or damage to this circuit, if there is damage to this circuit, what will happen? It will result in what? Alzheimer's disease, right? And of course, it can also result in what? It can result in Wernicke's what? Wernicke's encephalopathy. If you don't call it Wernicke's encephalopathy, what do you call it? You call it Korsakoff what syndrome? Korsakoff syndrome. Right? Korsakoff syndrome is due to what? Thiamine deficiency. Thiamine what? Deficiency. And confabulation, right?
Yeah.
And when there's a missing piece in what? In memory, we call it what? Confabulation, right?
Yeah.
And usually patients usually tell lies to cover up for the what? Their memory deficits, right?
Yeah.
And that is what is referred to as what? Korsakoff what? Syndrome. Are you there?
Yeah.
So another function of the hypothalamus that is associated with limbic function is what? Feeding behavior, right?
Yeah.
Now, in this one, now the aquate nucleus, right?
Yes.
The aquate nucleus has connection with what? The ventromedial what? Nucleus and the lateral what? Hypothalamic what? Nucleus, right?
Yes.
The aquate nucleus usually stimulates the what? The ventromedial nucleus of the hypothalamus, right?
Yes.
By secreting alpha melanocyte stimulating what? Hormone, right?
Yes.
And when it does that, what is the resultant effect? Satiety. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Satiety means what? Sense of what? Fullness or satisfaction. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
It means what? Sense of fullness and satisfaction. Are you there?
Yes.
Now, the aquate nucleus also stimulates the lateral hypothalamus, the lateral hypothalamic what? Nucleus. The aquate nucleus also stimulates what? The lateral hypothalamic what? Nucleus by releasing what?
Or is it?
No.
Neuropeptide.
Neuropeptide. Neuropeptide Y. Right?
Yes, sir.
Neuropeptide Y. Are you there? When it stimulates the lateral hypothalamic nucleus, the lateral hypothalamic nucleus will release what? Orexin. And what does orexin do? It brings about what? Hunger. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
It brings about what? Hunger. When the ventromedial nucleus is stimulated, it brings about what? Satiety. That is satisfaction. Are you there?
Yes.
Now, if, let me draw this. If it you take a lot of fatty food, right?
Yes, sir.
If you take a lot of what? Fatty food. The adipose tissues, right?
Yes, sir.
Or let me say the adipocytes will be stimulated, right?
Yes.
When the adipocytes are stimulated, they will release what? They will release a hormone called what? Leptin. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Leptin will be what?
Release.
Release. The pancreas can also release what? Insulin. Right? When you take a lot of carbohydrate, what? Food. Are you there?
Yes.
When you eat a lot of food, right?
Yes, sir.
And the GIT is stimulated, it will result in the stimulation of what? The vagus nerve. The vagus nerve will result in what? The stimulation of what? The hypothalamus. Right? Leptin, right, will also result in the stimulation of what? The hypothalamus. Insulin will also result in the stimulation of what? The hypothalamus, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, what does leptin, insulin, and vagus stimulation does? It results in what? The stimulation of what? The ventromedial what? Nucleus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Leptin results in the stimulation of what? The ventromedial what? Nucleus. Insulin results in the stimulation of what? The ventromedial what? Nucleus. The vagus stimulation, right?
Yes.
Vagus stimulation results in what? The stimulation of what? The ventromedial what? Nucleus. And when that happens, right? Stimulation of the ventromedial nucleus will result in what? Satiety, fullness. When you eat a lot of fatty food, right? And leptin is released. Leptin will go leptin will go and stimulate what? The ventromedial what? Nucleus, so that you feel what? Full. Alright. So now, when you take in a lot of fatty food, right? It will result in what? It will stimulate the adipose tissues,
Yes.
the adipocytes, to release what? Leptin. And what does leptin do? It stimulates what? The ventromedial what? Nucleus. And when the ventromedial nucleus is stimulated, it brings about satiety, a sense of fullness. When you are full, you stop taking what? Fatty food, and then you will not be what? Fat. Right?
Yes.
And then also when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, right? Of course, carbohydrate will be metabolized into what? Glucose. Right? And then glucose will stimulate the what? The beta cells of Langerhans to release what? Insulin. And what does insulin do? Insulin will go and stimulate the ventromedial what? Nucleus of the hypothalamus and bring about satiety. And when you are full, you stop eating. Do you understand?
Yes.
Also, when you take in a lot of food and you are full, the food will distend the GIT gut, right?
Yes.
Let's say the intestine. It will distend the wall of the intestine and stimulate what? The vagus nerve, right?
Yes.
And when the vagus nerve is stimulated, what will happen? It will go and stimulate what? The ventromedial what? Nucleus, right? And bring about satiety, fullness, satisfaction, so that you stop what? Eating. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Are you there? Okay. Another thing is that when you are hungry, when you are very, very hungry, for instance, if you are fasting, right? Your stomach will release what we call what? Ghrelin.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
And ghrelin, what will it do? It will go to the hypothalamus and stimulate the lateral hypothalamic nucleus, right?
Yes, sir.
To release what? Orexin. And what does orexin do? It brings about what? Hunger. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, if there is a lesion in the ventromedial nucleus, right?
Yes, sir.
If there is a lesion in the ventromedial nucleus, what will happen?
You will be eating too much.
It will cause hyperphagia. It will cause hyperphagia, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, hyperphagia will result in what? Obesity. Right?
Yes.
The person will be eating and eating and eating and eating and will become what? Obese. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now, if the lateral hypothalamus is destroyed, or if there is a lesion in the lateral hypothalamus, what will happen? The person will never feel what? Hungry. And this can cause what? It can cause what we call what? Anorexia. Right?
Yes, sir.
Can also call it anorexia nervosa. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, patients that usually have anorexia usually what? Machetes. Right?
Yes, sir.
They become what? Macheted. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Alright, do you understand this? Now, another aspect of the hypothalamus that is involved in the limbic function, right? Another aspect of the hypothalamus that is involved in limbic function is what? The dorsal what? The dorsal what? Is the, sorry? Yes, I'm right. Dorsomedial nucleus. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Another aspect of the hypothalamus that is involved in the limbic function is what? Dorsomedial nucleus. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when there's a lesion in this nucleus, right? It usually causes what? Savage behavior. Savage behavior. Right? It causes what? Savage what? Behavior. The person becomes what? Extremely rude. Right? The person becomes what? Extremely what? Rude.